Hi and welcome to Everyone Has One with Tiffany. Today I am going to continue talking about my grief journey, and I want to talk about, I guess I don't have a great way of saying it, but being okay with not doing things. If this kind of content is something that you're interested in and you would like to help me or give me suggestions of other content that I can do, please like, subscribe, comment, share, all the things, so that I can reach more people and we can build the community through this online platform. With that being said, I just wanted to do a short video kind of talking about like a realization that I had in regards to my grief journey. And one of the things that I did, which I'd spoken about in a previous video, was the isolation. I had a really hard time being around people who didn't feel the exact same way that I felt, right? Who didn't understand, which most people don't, because most people didn't have the same type of relationship with their mom that I had. Not that they didn't have close relationships, not that they didn't have good relationships. My mother and I had a very unique relationship. We were, mother and daughter. We were, fairly close in age, like sisters. We were each other's, partners in a lot of ways. Like, we went through the crap together. She leaned on me a lot for help with the kids when they were younger, with my younger siblings, when, we just were always together. So our relationship is kind of unique in that way, right? That being said, I leaned on her a lot because my husband was gone, in his work and traveling and stuff. And I needed her support a lot because I was a young mom, and, she was my mom, right? So I ran to her for like all the things. And on top of it, she was a nurse. So not only was she a nurse, she was my, doctor. So I would come to her with every single thing ever. If I got a hangnail, I was like, do I have to go to the emergency room for this, So my mom was the one, right? Like, I hurt my knee. Like, do you think this is a problem? So, well, maybe you don't know. Well, that's how it was for me. That's what we did. So, that being said, after my mom passed, I just really had a hard time again, like just interacting with people kind of like in a normal way, because I did not feel normal, right? I felt ripped apart and shredded, and I could not pick up the pieces of myself, right? And I didn't know where to go to, because again, my husband was going through the same thing. His mother passed away, suddenly, and he was on the floor too. And our moms were, they were our moms, right? We were really close to both of our moms. And so it was really, really difficult. But one of the things that I did was a positive, which was a negative that turned into a positive, I guess I should say in my case, was I isolated. I couldn't just talk to people about anything, because I'm like, how do you not understand that I'm standing here like death becomes her with like a hole through, the whole center of my body, right? Like, you're not getting it. I'm jacked. Like, I can't do anything because I lost my true north. I thought, I didn't know, right? I just didn't know. And so I isolated. And thankfully for me, in that isolation, I have friends and family who love me like unconditionally. So yeah, it turned out to be like just the family that lives with me and like my best friend who I talk to on a regular basis. But all those other people out there, I was still able to connect with. And I think, I had the ability to explain, like, I can't I can't, because I'm just struggling so much. And like, that means going to like outings and different things. Like, I just really couldn't. I was really, really struggling. And what ended up being a positive for me and all that. So like, that's negative, right? I isolated myself. But for me personally, someone who has been like the go-to and who's just been like, all right, I get into this, this self-preservation mode type, and I just keep it going. When I lost my mom, tailspin, could not get to that mode, right? I could not keep it moving. And it actually ended up being beneficial for me, because for the first time in my life, saying no to things and saying like, because I literally, like, people don't understand, I couldn't, I did not have the capacity. I was so, and there are still moments where I feel that way, but I was so burdened with this grief boulder that it was impossible for me to be present with those who I loved. But during this time, I was finally able to sit with the grief and the anger and the hopelessness and the fear and all those things that come with all those feelings. For the first time in my life, I was able to sit with them, feel them, and deal with them in probably one of the most appropriate ways that I've ever dealt with things. The isolation, not appropriate. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't go back to my old vices. I didn't turn to food the way I had in the past. I hadn't, I didn't turn to, some other addiction, whatever that is, right? I do have kind of like an addictive type personality. I didn't start shopping, or I didn't start, whatever it was, right? I just didn't turn to those things because I sat with those feelings. And I felt them for the first time. I didn't say like, oh, I'm having a feeling, I need something to replace that, right? I sat and I said, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling this way because my mom's gone. And what do I do with this, right? How do I process this? And like found out why I was really sad and why I was angry and why I was afraid and why. And so I was able to have the feeling, feel it, and deal with it appropriately. And it's been such an amazing gift. If my mom knew that through her passing, I would finally, for the first time in my life, really be able to sit and deal with feelings. Like, she'd be so proud of me. I know she would, because I know it was something that she really struggled with, right? She would get feelings and she would, she'd be angry or she'd be sad, and then she'd, lash out in anger. Or she would, she also would go into herself, and she would go for a drive and smoke a cigarette, or, whatever. She had her things, the things that I had weren't that different from hers, but I think she'd be really proud of me that I'm finally able to sit and be present in my feelings, and for the most part feel them and understand like their feelings, right? I get to feel them and I get to decide how I'm going to deal with them. And I think she'd be really proud that in that work that I was able to find resources and talk to different people who were able to support me to the point where I'm able to, for the first time ever, deal with my feelings in a healthy way. Now, this is after years of therapy, different therapists since I was in grade school. Never before did I have the capacity to deal with and feel my feelings in this way and really be able to sit with them in a healthy way. And it took all this work so that I could be a better me, and so I could be a present mom and a present wife and a present friend for the other people, present sister for the other people who are struggling too, right? So that's the benefit for me of saying no and living in a little bit of isolation. Did I take it to the extreme? 100% I did. It's been a year and I'm just now dipping my toe back in. Well, it'll be a year on the 6th of February. And what's today? The 29th, I think, of January. Yep, 29th of January. So it's taken almost a year for me to finally get to this place. And I really saw it after spending time with my family, right? Like, I'm feeling rejuvenated for the first time after being with them, you know, for the afternoon and part of the evening yesterday. I'm finally feeling rejuvenated again, and I'm finally feeling like, I talked to my sister today, and I was like, I'm actually feeling pretty good. I was exhausted, but I'm feeling pretty good because finally I'm starting to realize that I'm going to carry this grief forever, and it's going to be a part of me, but there's another part of me too, and that's the part that gets to live and, you know, remember my mom and remember my mother and father-in-law and share the memories we have of them with my children and my cousins and my siblings, and, you know, and my, hopefully my grandchildren in the near future, and for people who never even met my mom, I get to share with them, you know, how awesome she was and how much joy she brought to my life, right? And I also get to share, like, when it sucked, but I get to share all those and it's so much a better place than I've ever been, and it's because I took that time away and I stepped out. And I think that's one of the things that's really difficult in our society. I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to do that, right? But I think it's one of the things that's really unfortunate in our society is, like, someone passes, you get 5 days, you keep it moving, and it's like, it's not, there's so much more to it, right? And because of that, you know, sometimes people like me, even though I've been in therapy and and I'm a therapist, I don't know how to process my emotions in only 5 days. And most people don't, right? Like, there's a lot going on. So I'm not saying do what I did, right? And completely seclude yourself and, you know, live in a hole. But what I am saying is, take time where you can, and, you know, look into resources. There's great resources online. There's books like, you know, I wasn't ready to say goodbye. There are other books about grief, right? That was about people who passed away suddenly, but there's other books about grief. There's poems, there's writings, there's, you know, there's all different kinds of things that can kind of help you be more reflective and kind of reframe what's happening so that you can identify your feelings and deal with your feelings. So I hope that's helpful to you. I'm really happy that I'm on this side. I'm still sad. My heart's still broken. I miss my mom every minute of every day. I miss my mother-in-law every minute of every day. But I really hope that what I'm doing is making them proud, that I'm able to share how I'm dealing with this thing that sucks so bad. And I'm doing it in probably the healthiest way that I've ever dealt with my feelings and emotions before. So that's it for today. Again, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. And if you think it would be helpful for someone, please share it. And that's all for today. Have a good one.